Okay. I need a nap now. I'm joking.
I know. I took a super nap, but super naps are what nonconformists need, so they don't conform with the other nonconformists.
How do you conform with other nonconformists? How do you do that?
Well, to conform with a bunch of nonconformists, you first have to have a uniform. And in order to do so, you have a single protocol that you follow in order to have one way to nonconform. So you indirectly and accidentally conform with the nonconformists.
Oh, I get it. So you're talking about like how punk rock when punk rock or tattoos or anything that became acceptable versus feared.
Yes.
Much like the baphomet is becoming now. It's becoming very fashionable.
It's become very cute in the last couple years as well. I've seen very Lisa Frank and like Muppet Baby looking versions of it as well, which feels kind of disrespectful.
Oh, really? I made a cute wokeface one, and I don't mind that. I think like the be nice stuff I see as a trend is sort of cool. Be kind.
I don't mind Baphomet being nice. I don't mind Baphomet being, I guess, presentable. But when it becomes something that you get a pat on the back for rather than people asking questions about it, I'm not sure if I'm quite ready for that.
Oh yeah. Well, I what I was trying to say is I was like, I don't want it to be acceptable by everyone in the world. Like it's supposed to be even when you see a cute one, you want people to be like, "That's weird," or "You're weird," or "That's scary to me," or that's off-putting to me, or I don't want, and then you sort of get a vibe for what's going on in the room. The people who are afraid of you are people you want to stay away from. That's why I like the Baphomet. If I sport it here and there, I sport it to gauge the room. When I'm in public and I wear it openly on the bus, I do that to see if someone sees that and it catches their eye, and I see that, I don't want to go near them. It's just one of those things. They're afraid of it, and that means they might hurt me, or they're easy to be emotional. They're not reasonable, and so I don't really want to be next to non-reasonable people. And I guess pop culture, or I don't know, pop culture is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. On one hand, I really like the different occult references that have started to show up there, but I feel like that's a completely different thing than someone rejecting how pop culture has started to reflect occult imagery and then deciding, I don't like this way because it's mainstream, so therefore I'm going to make a dark version of exactly that. And I feel like you get all the Hot Topic versions of things in that way, where it seems like it wants to stand out, but at the same time, it's hard to stand out when you and your friends have the same outfit on.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Like wearing all black is so weird. I call it a clown suit, a satanic clown suit, because I've noticed that waiters wear all black now, and it's the new. Well, I shouldn't say new, but growing up when I was 20, 30 years ago, you wouldn't see waiters wearing all black, or police officers wearing all black, or people that were in the service industry wearing all black. And now you see that. It's like, oh, I want to stay far away from that look. Not because I'm against the service industry, but just because I'm against looking like a whole horde of people. Like, horde. People like to use that word, don't they? A whole flock of people. How's that? I don't know the difference between a flock and a horde. I just know that satanic folks use
a gaggle of uniforms. Definitely.
Yeah, gaggle. Yeah, I don't want to look uniform. Like right now, I'm trying to figure out how I can be 50 and wear a lot of fringe. Like I got these hoodies I bought and I'm going to sew on fringe. And I'm like, how the fuck do I get onto the bus with that? Like on a city bus? Because I enjoy taking the bus. And I enjoy taking the bus because I blend in and I can hear people talk and observe them and watch. And it's really great TV for me.
But on the other hand, you want to stand out and wear this fringed outfit on it.
Well, maybe when I get where I'm going, I take the fringed outfit out of a bag and I put that on because I don't want to ruin my bus experience, right? I want to blend in on the bus, but I want to stand out in certain areas where that works. It doesn't work on the bus. So for me, I don't, and I'm also 50. So then I wonder, okay, when I get where I'm going, let's say it's a coffee shop and I want to be dressed up and stylish. Is 50 and fringe too much? And I got to say, no, just fuck it. Just wear what you want. But then, sometimes you wear what you want and you look goofy. I don't know. So there's a fine line between fitting in and feeling comfortable in what you're wearing. I don't know. Fringe seems to be like what I want. I think the new fashion thing is fringe, like long ass fringe, long fringe.
But you bring up a really good point there with there's always a time and place that you want to wear something. You might want to wear something somewhere, but maybe your grandma's funeral was not the day to wear your Satan costume.
All black, right?
Of course you could wear all black. It's a funeral. It's a funeral, yes. However, maybe you should leave your pentagram at home.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. My Satan costume, I take it as all black because my normal dress would be blue jeans, sneakers, and a T-shirt without print. Or now that I'm older, I wear a collared shirt, like a Dickies work shirt or something like that. I dress hip hop more than like hip hop, male hip hop, I don't have the gold chains though, like yourself. I need a 3-inch chain.
Would you put bling on the end of the chain, or would you just wear the chain a lot?
Oh, fuck yeah. I would put bling on it. I would want to wear it I want ice.
What kind of ice would you have on your Satan bling?
I don't know. Well, I don't know what kind of ice it is. Ice is a diamond, I would assume, but whatever I can get a hold of that looks good. I like silver and shiny, so gold is a little much. I would rather have silver.
I think it's often it looks good on certain skin colors and certain complexions, gold versus silver. I think on yourself, because you have very piercing blue eyes and cool features on your skin tone and hair, silver would look better. You'd look very wintry.
Good to hear. I'm glad I have you as a consultant. I still got to get a comb from you so I could comb my hair the right way.
For a dash of shade and some fashion advice, you could always ask me your questions at
speakofthedevilpod@gmail.com.
Yeah. Oh, we're recording. That's right.
We sure are. And today we're talking about uniforms in Satanism and if there's a dress code or not. This podcast is based around the history and experiences of the infamous Shane Bugbee, recollected and retold by Shane Bugbee himself. Who is Shane? Well, you're about to find out. I'm your host, Nannerl, and this is Speak of the Devil.
That's funny. I never know if we're recording until you start something official, because we go. This is like our normal talk. And outliers, right? You were talking about outliers. Is that what you just said? I missed that.
I think that both of these things definitely go hand in hand. So for this, I'm going to just put in there that this is a 2-part episode, and we're going to talk a little of both, but this is such a topic that I feel like we could go on and on about. And so we have decided to cut it down to 2 episodes for this one. And to get us started, we've started talking about sort of outfits and conformity. But within that, we have what is called an outlier. And I think that the outlier is a very important character within Satanism. people either strive to be the outlier or they default to being the outlier. It's quite satanic to be an outlier. But when you have a group of outliers in one place, are they still outliers, or do they end up conforming to each other?
I don't know who would want to be an outlier as one. It's like, I am one, and I know this. I've been told that. And it is like, no matter where I move, when I was living in Astoria, Oregon, I was the outcast of the outcasts even. And it's like, even the people that are outcasts don't want to be around. They're like, man, people really are bothered by you. And I went to this Christmas party once, and the guy was talking about me, but he wouldn't talk about me or to me. But he was talking about, like, the person brought up a problem. They were inviting me to Christmas. And he had said tribes do this all the time. Tribes shun people just because they don't like how they look. They don't have to have a good reason. And I was like, he's talking about tribal stuff in a society where we don't even have that anymore. It's like socially, like it's so politically incorrect to be shunning people and having people on the outside. But yet we have it in this culture, in this society, I should say. My culture doesn't. But we have it in society as a whole. And it's a weird concept, you know, like it's a weird one. And then yet for me, it's weird. I felt and recently in the last year, I understand the concept of privilege more and more. So being an outlier or an outcast and outside of the outside, I have felt marginalized. I am marginalized. I am in the margins. But then I guess the concept of privilege makes me feel a little more privileged, I guess. Though I didn't realize that at the time. I feel a little better about things. I don't feel better about things, but I feel like, okay, I do have breaks that others do not. And so accepting that concept, it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me say that I'm not alone. And it's a very lonely thing to be on the outside, and especially on the outside of the outside. Like in my situation, think about that. Like I went to war with the Church of Satan. All those motherfuckers hate me. All the people in the Satanic Temple hate me. In the Satanic concept, in the art world, it's the same. Which I consider artwork and Satanism pretty much the same thing. And so, you know, it's a lonely road. And I don't want to say, you know, like I could make a friend with a dog if my landlord would let me have a dog. Fucking please, dude. Like, give me the dog. You know, I'm not an outlier with the dogs.
I think that every circle has outliers, and it sometimes feels like it goes along with, you know, every litter has a runt. There's always, right. It's almost like a natural order, unfortunately. And I think that being the outlier, when it is, in your case, something that it just fell in your hands, it's not something you ask for, it does inadvertently make the outlier develop might. They learn different steps to survival that others may not face as often. So while you might have privilege in some circles, you also know how to tough it out in others because of being the outlier.
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I felt many times because of my own accomplishments, and especially because of the odds I face. When people are like, "You've survived that," or "You did this with nothing." When people that are really privileged, educated, and stuff say that I've made an accomplishment, let's say with my soda company or what have you, I feel mighty. But I think, like with me, I have a touch of Asperger's, or I'm on a spectrum somewhere. And when you talk about the runt, I have been able to physically fend people off. I don't feel like a runt, but because I think differently and I don't think, and naturally, I'm wired differently to think differently. It's not like I'm like, I've got the third perspective and I think different than you low lives. No, I actually think different. I have dyslexia, stuff like that. So I've had to compensate and overcompensate to learn and get by. And that builds muscle, mind muscle, let's say. And that builds might, you might say, or accomplishments. I heard Neil Tyson, I don't know how to say his middle name, good enough to say it. But he spoke of someone that had Asperger's, stood up a kid in a crowd and said, I always wanted to be a scientist, but I have Asperger's and I'll probably never be one. And he goes, most scientists that I know have a learning disability like Asperger's. He goes, the one thing that they all unite on, they don't have a TV. None of them have TV sets. And I don't have a TV set. I haven't had a TV set in 20 years, 30 years. And I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. We all and he goes, they don't have a TV set because they have to concentrate and think about things so much more than the average person that's gone to school to learn these formulas. But by them thinking so much more, they're at the top of their field because they think differently. It takes them 15 hours of thought to get somewhere where it'll take another person 5 hours of thought, let's say. But because they're thinking and they're already outside of the box, they come up to answers. They come up with answers that we don't come up with so rapidly. So it was whatever he was saying was a cool thing for me to hear, because that's how I feel a lot of times. Same with occult theory, even reading through books people have troubles with. I can stew on a Crowley poem for five years, and people come up with different answers with the occult stuff. But I think I come up with precise answers. I can see the tricks in the occult writing.
Fine tuning versus broad strokes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And that's very much like artists in general, I think. I think that artists, for the most part, are outliers of society. We express ourselves the way we do because we see the world the way we do.
I'm about to sneeze, maybe. Who knows? Sorry, I'm having allergies. This is what I want to say. But real artists, not people who take the title or have a diploma that say they're artists, but people who are natural artists, like someone who might learn a stringed instrument at 4 years old. That's a pretty intense thing. That's wild.
But I think that idea of someone was born an artist, someone was born to create, to build, to, express themselves and their perceptions in the way of the outlier does reflect what I asked earlier regarding how some people put themselves in the position of being the outlier. They aren't actually the outlier. They just want to sort of being a contrarian, or, someone who just wants to have that angst, wants that title, like you were saying about having, titling themselves an artist.
Yeah,
I think the same goes with outlier. They just crave that attention, and it seems like an easy road for them to just not fit in.
You mean the people who are posing as outliers? Yeah, correct. I think the funny thing is I feel pretty invisible in most of my life and not seen. Yet I'm seen. Especially when I was younger, if I walk in a room, it would be quiet, and people knew I was there. In Chicago and in Portland, let's say the art scene, people know who I am, and things change. The tone of the room changes when I walk in, and I find it sort of humorous. But how I feel inside is always I've never even been seen in my life. I'm invisible. And one of the ways that Asperger's people survive is that they adapt to the room they're in, or they adapt to people they're around. They'll do they'll mimic what people are doing around them in order to survive. Because if they act like themselves, that's when they get slaughtered. And I think that ties into the artist, how their society is against artists because we look at things so differently. We look at an oven and we see a TV set, let's say. Hey, that could, we look at things so differently, and most people can't do that. So there's an envy. And I almost see it as like the envy for the deer. Hunters kill the deer to get the horns, not the meat. They kill the deer because it's free, and they want to hang the horns on the wall as having that essence. And when people want to buy my art, they want to hang it on the wall as essence. When they want to hold my art, they hold it as essence. Same as when the Nazis or war, Americans, not just Nazis, but fucking war criminals, steal art from cultures and bring it back as a trophy. We have the Middle East has been gutted of their art, and that's from all of the nations who've going to war. I'm sure America got the biggest cut of artifacts out of the Middle East. And that, next to the deaths and the rotten way we leave those places or what we do to people, the theft of the artwork is just obscene. But no one wants to recognize it because they don't make artwork. They don't.
No. There's often the perception also of non-white European culture makes crafts versus art is white. And I think that it's not, the artifacts and the relics are not taken as seriously as art from Europe. Or it's not as precious for some reason. They certainly have a serious price tag on them. If they're sold underground or anywhere else, museums pay a serious penny for that stuff. Yeah. But the people aren't taken seriously, right? Because they're in the mud hut or whatever. Right, I get it. Right. Even a small meta version of that is like, I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but cosplaying. And cultures like the hip within, the white kids trying to act black, or the weeboos trying to act Asian, or namely Japanese, is very much that, trying to wear the trophy.
Explain cosplay to me. I understand it from assumption. I can see what's going on. I've had.
So it's a little different. I'm actually using the wrong word, I think. So cosplay is when you play a comic character or you dress up like a fictional character. And I do retract what I say. I don't think that's quite the same. But within that culture often lies weebo culture.
Explain that word.
Weeboo is someone who wants to be Japanese. They eat all the Japanese snacks. They try to pretend to be Japanese. They giggle with their hands around their face and say words like desu all the time. And no matter how they try, I'm sorry, you will never be an honorary Japanese person. You either are or not. And there's a difference between, there was a sketch on Saturday Night Live that actually regarded this, where one of the characters said, "You guys are riding a fine line between homage and racism." This is kind of one of those things, but just like, people trying to act black because they idolize the culture, it's not respectful, and it is a form of trying to wear that set of horns on your head.
I lived with a black family as a runaway, and I really enjoyed everything that we did. But the family told me the one reason they liked me a lot is because I wasn't a wigger. I was like, what the hell? And they tell me what it means, and they're like, because a lot of white people come around and they'll start talking black. They'll start acting in a way. And I have a street tongue. That's for certain. I have a street tongue because I grew up on the streets. But I never did that. The most I could, I had a Public Enemy T-shirt, but I wasn't trying.
But enjoying music is completely different than suddenly saying "my man" or whatever and trying to invent handshakes with your black friends.
Right.
And I think that, I think people genuinely appreciate it when others be themselves around each other. I can relate to that. I think that anyone's culture would appreciate that you don't try to pretend to be them or try to, it's sort of a degrading thing to do so. And I think that it's interesting the amount of confidence someone has to do so, trying to be, you know, what is either forbidden or something that is the outlier in society. And they often are very fragile about it too. It's amazing the amount of, you know, chutzpah you have to behave like a black person as a white suburban kid. But then when someone tells you, hey, that's not cool, you suddenly defend yourself very hard and come up with all this research or come up with all these defensive mechanisms of why it's okay for you to do it. And you somehow reason with it. But then you as the same person will, you know, virtue signal how you stand for the...
We interrupt this program quickly to have an emergency service of dog whistles here. There's going to be a couple seconds of dog whistle, and this is just a test.
What is dog whistle?
So dog whistle is oftentimes used now in social network. I think that it's actually it goes before social networking, but dog whistle is sort of playing off of the literal term dog whistle too. You know how dog whistle is blown and only dogs can hear it, and it sort of refers to catchphrases or things that seem very pointed towards someone or groups of people. Absolutely nothing. But oftentimes also people who are enemies or people oftentimes who suddenly become a nemesis. They who were in your life before, they often not only were part of your life at some point or you helped them, but they often look for antagony within your art or within your words because they still want a piece of you.
And maybe that's the thing where you feel insecure on the outside, so you come off as too insecure on the inside. You don't feel comfortable on the inside, so on the outside you're being too comfortable with people. And as a publisher of obscene work, when I used to have a P.O. box, that's how we'd get things. People would send me awful things, and I'd have to open my mail at the P.O. box and throw things away. Like if it was a videotape, I'd throw it right in the garbage can because I brought home a video once, and it was a guy shoving a grapefruit up his ass. And I was like, I don't need this. It was funny, but I like, what else is going to be on these videos? And because I published obscene work, I didn't want someone sending me something illegal on a videotape and me getting busted, because when you put out obscene
the minute
work,
you look at it, you're guilty.
Well, I have to turn things in, but when you put out obscene work and you are actually an underground artist that's doing things that is upsetting the system or the status quo, you put on lists, you become a mark, and they want to set you up. It's not uncommon to be set up or have problems. So I would and one of the people I published had that issue. Mike Diana had an issue like that. It was set up. So it was like, I would throw things away right at the P.O. box. But then it comes in my personal life. If I go do something public, people will try to tell me obscene jokes or be more satanic. One time someone sent me this satanic stuff, or they had all these pieces of paper printed from Radio Free Satan, like off the internet. They printed my photo, and then they were like pulling the skin off of an animal, and they're doing all the horn marks and stuff like that. Now, I don't know. They could have worked at a farm for all I know. You know, when I looked at it, they could have been. Right. It looked to me in the setting in a farm setting. So I was like, this isn't like in the basement of someone's house. But they sent me that stuff, and it's like, you know, they want to be this evil. And I'm just like, man, you're feeling too comfortable with me, motherfucker. Like you don't know me to send me that shit. You didn't ask me to send me that shit. That's a violation. That's a violation. And so that's how I see that kind of, when people feel too comfortable, I say something, I write them a ticket. Like, you know, I say, that's a violation. You're feeling too comfortable with me. You need to not talk to me in that tone.
In those cases, they definitely want to wear your horns. They want to definitely have that piece of approval from you as the outlier. They want a little taste of that.
Yeah, as an old man now, I try to be more compassionate with people like that and try to deal with them. I try, but it doesn't. The results are never the same, never different. They're always, no matter if I deal with them compassion or if I deal with them with a firm hand, the results are always the same. You know, and I saw a bunch of hip hop artists sharing this meme, only the hip hop artists, which was interesting observation in and of itself. But the meme was that most of your enemies right now are people that you helped at one time. I was like, that is so wild but that's how I feel about it. No matter how I try to deal with these people, we're going to be enemies. You know, the quicker you're out of my fucking life, the better is how I think the best way to deal with it is, you know, the quicker you're out, the more time I have to me. You know, and that's part of the human condition. People like to project their bullshit. And part of that one is everything they found interesting about you, they turn to a negative. They turn to like, this is something I was really attracted to about this artist. And you might catch them now that we're recording everything. You might be able to find a recording of them bragging about these same things they call a dog whistle later on.
Yes.
You know, that's what they loved about the person. You know, a lot of people love my dominance or my aggressive behavior. But then the minute we fall out of favor, it's, oh, Shane was too aggressive.
Shane is a bossy pants, and he's not invited to my sleepover anymore.
Yeah, even though they love me because I love it. You take control. You're the boss. You know, not that I like that title. I'm a worker, but that's old stuff. I don't know. I don't know about me present day. It's a whole different. I heard this is totally off subject, but someone told me their grandmother once said that you just become more of what you were as a child when you get older. So just know that when you get older, you're going to be more of a child than, you know, like whatever you were as a child, you'll be more of. Nursing homes beware. I was a needy baby. According to legend, anytime my mom set me down, I fussed and cried, and then I would shut up the minute she'd pick me up and give me attention. And I know I'm going to be a nightmare when I'm old. So buckle up, everybody. You know what I was? Can you guess? You were loud and you would cry over everyone. No. Really? I was quiet and I played with myself. Like I would just build blocks and hang out in the corner and build stuff and make stuff all on my own. And my parents would always be yelling, "You've got to play with other kids. You've got to go out and play." I can kind of see you. I can kind of see you being that kid. See, that's that outlier thing we're talking, like it's a natural thing maybe. I just thought of that. And even when I did publishing, I did it under Michael Hunt Publishing. I didn't want to put my real name on it because it was just like, it wasn't me. It was something I did. And so I had, because of capitalism, because of our society and the way we sell things, I had to put my name on it and I had to put my face on it. And when I got married, right before I got married, I decided to do the first interview as myself. And the Chicago Reader gave me the cover story, put my face on the cover. And then I go around town and people knew who I was. And I did this Dana Plato thing and I shaved my head because I was like, I don't want people to know who I am. It really wasn't fun. You know, it was nice. Like at the Blues Club, the guy opened the door because he thought I was a cool guy. People, you know, some things are, but no one knows who you are from a photograph is what I'm saying. It's an awkward thing. I don't even know who I am. I'm 50 years old. I'm still trying to figure it out. You look quite cheerful in your Twitter photo. How would you respond to that if people just knocked on your door and expected Chipper Shane? And then they're like, man, he just sits in the corner building blocks. Well, at this point, I have 2 welcome mats. Okay, I have a whole new life I've started. This is a big deal. 50 years old, I've wiped, as one friend said, Shane, you've done this bold thing and you've wiped the slate totally clean of your whole life. You've wiped everything clean. But the first thing I bought for my new apartment was a welcome mat for the back door and the front door. So I would be welcoming of them. And I do. I would smile. I'm a smiley guy. That's who I am. but I don't mind having company with them. I just probably would be annoyed after a couple hours. Maybe I'd be like, I've had enough.
You should have a get the fuck out mat on the other side of the door.
That's a good one.
Maybe on the back one, have like, don't let the door hit you on the ass.
Yeah, because now that I have carpet making abilities, magic carpet, I can make a magic carpet that says "get the fuck out." That's funny, but yeah, I at some point people get, it gets on my nerves because I want my space. If I had a big place, I would be like, "Could you go to the other side of this place? I'm going to be busy in the corner building blocks."
Right.
Oh God, but that attitude of me building blocks in the corner has driven my life. Like it's not the greatest thing. I sit in the corner and build blocks. Like right now I'm working on this website and that's all I'm doing. Like everything else is going to shit. I'm supposed to be looking for a lawyer, all this weird stuff. And it's like,
but you got your blocks and your blocks are there.
Right. And this is what happens. And I go to my counselor and he's like, so how's that work for you? Because that's what he says. And I'm going to go there tomorrow and tell him what a bullshit statement that is. So how's that working out for you? It's like, you just said nothing, dude. You said nothing. How's that working out for me?
Bring your blocks and show him how you're doing.
Me building my block. How's it work out for my block building? Awesome. How's it work out for other things? Awesome. How's it work out for this? Shitty. I can't do everything. I can't be everything. I can only build the blocks. This is what I do in our species.
I think the artists do that, though. I keep interrupting you, but this is definitely the definition of an outlier. This is how the artist is the outlier. We have that thing. It's always with us. And a lot of times life just doesn't work out, or we just can't play nice.
Yeah. Yeah, when life doesn't work out, it's because I can't get to my blocks. Beyond that, I guess I'm getting, you know what? I don't like the smell in this kitchen that I'm sitting in, actually. So for the first time, smells are bothering me. Maybe it's coming out of the sink. I don't know, but I have to figure out that. I couldn't build blocks in this kitchen is what I'm saying. And I won't be doing my podcast, this podcast in this kitchen anymore. My block building has to be in a special sacred spot because I've gotten old and settled in my ways. But I used to do block building in a car, living in a car. So I'll be like, I did not give a fuck. Just let me build my blocks.
I think that's something too, that dependency on building your blocks that artists have versus someone who decides one day, I'm going to build some blocks. I'm going to get my kit of block building. I'm going to start my block building kit. And I'm going to be the loudest block builder ever. I'm going to be a gatekeeper of the block builders. And I'm going to make sure that all the other block builders who have been block builders for a very long time know that I am the king of the block builders. Okay. So the other block builders who really want to be a block builder can join my club and want to wear some of my horns and be part of my block building club because they could not focus on block building hard enough to be true block builders.
Right. They rip off all the ideas the block builders have, the original people, like the outliers. But one interesting trend I've seen in this new world, in this new era, is people right about your age, what they're doing now is when they see that happening, they're like, okay, I'm going to sell you all the tools, and they go into manufacturing blocks. They they don't do the building of blocks. They make the blocks and they sell kits. Here's how we do it. Here, I'll sell you a kit. You can be just like me. So the outliers are selling patched up vests. You want to be a punk rocker? I'll patch up a vest for you. Here you go. I see the yarn because I'm working with yarn and rugs. And they make beautiful stuff. They've given up that whole business to get a CNC router and build these tools to spin yarn to sell to people that love their art but won't buy the art, but they want to be the artist, so they'll buy the tools. And I remember someone saying when I went across the country to do podcasting, before anyone was doing podcasting, this is a long time ago, and the one thing I said, we're going to make money off of podcasting. He goes, Shane, and this guy worked for the Chicago Tribune editor. He goes, remember the gold rush. No one made a lot of money finding gold. The people who made the money were the people who sold the shovels. and the pickaxes and the wagon wheels for all the people who wanted to do that. So think about that. And I remember making this fig rig out of PVC so you could hold your camera. And I thought I'd make $1 million on that, because I was trying to build a tool for future, what we did not have the word for then as video vloggers. Yeah.
I think that's quite fascinating, actually. That's a weird market that kind of went dormant for a long time and appeared out of nowhere again, where it is sort of artisan culture to cater to the amateur. It's the celebration of the amateur. It's a new age.
I think the reason it came out of the dormant stage is because of phones. Phones now, the photos work well. Your phones have the memory to do it. You just put it on one of those new sticks. I forget what they call them.
Selfie sticks.
But no, it's not a selfie stick anymore. It's like a computerized one. Mm-hmm. It's a balanced one. It has a ball in there and it moves and
gimbal.
Gimbal. Yeah, the gimbals. Holy shit, I've had one of those. That's shooting. That's beautiful. That's what I built basically with PVC so you could hold it tight. And the guys who filmed Metallica's documentary and the West Memphis 3 documentaries, I filmed them using that 15 years ago, let's say. And they're like, dude, what is that? That is your rig? You built that? And I've got it on camera. Like when I'm filming, people are looking at it and I wish I could have done a short film with people going, what is that? Is that a bike? Is that a bike handle? Because I wrapped it with bike tape. I wrapped this PVC with bicycle tape, foamy bike tape, so I could hold it. And the filmmakers loved it, though. They're like, dude, that is so cool. They got off on it. These are legit filmmakers. I mean, I'm a legit filmmaker, too, but they're doing things for HBO. Anyway, sorry to ramble on about that. But the Outliers now make kits, and that's what I have to learn to do in my old age. Like, how can I make a Outlier kit to sell to people?
It's also a new age of surviving as artists. You're still creating, but now we're not just the ones creating the cave paintings. We're the ones holding the fire in our hands. Yeah.
Yeah. And because we're all connected, people have caught on to the mistakes of maybe my generation and stuff like that. That's, how we just get ripped off. Like, I know there's a band, Electric Hellfire Club, a satanic band. And that Thomas, he left the whole scene because he couldn't make money any longer because of MP3s. And there was a moment there when MP3s were going wild on the internet and bands were just going out of business because there was no way for them to corral the money. And then iTunes came along. And then these younger bands were making money off of iTunes. But he quit at that point. He was already done. He couldn't catch up. So it's a shame. Or maybe not. Maybe a satanic rock band is better left young. As I saw Danzig up on the stage and people laughing at him, I'm like, dude, I don't like that. And people made fun of you or laughed, but what are you doing in your 60s? Presenting a horror film, rushing it out. Like, what? Why? What's with the ego? Anyway.
What about King Diamond? How old is he?
He's old. He's already had heart surgery. He's probably in his later 60s.
So I don't think age is a thing.
But you don't?
No.
With young people, it's not?
I don't know. I don't think I'm young. So, 500 is not young. But just my case, maybe so. But, I show you King Diamond, who's been around forever. He has LaVey's seal of approval as a satanic artist. Brilliant, incredibly successful, incredibly talented musicians within his band. And he truly understands how to be a satanic frontman because he does not hog up the spotlight. Have you heard his guitarist?
Oh, yeah. I love King Diamond. One of my favorites.
The guitarist himself carries his own, and he stands back and allows his bandmates to solo. And because he knows that as a unit, they are individually all immensely talented, but he knows how to submit when it is appropriate. And compare him to artists like Ghost, who kind of look like a kiddo version of King Diamond in the makeup, who seems to hog up the spotlight. And to be honest, I think he needs a little time to cook before referring to him actually as a satanic artist. You can put on the costume, you can wear the, the kind of quasi dark Pope garb on stage, but it doesn't make you King Diamond or Marilyn Manson.
I was having a conversation in the lift with two young people. And they were talking about country music and how a rap artist had done some country song or something like that. And we were talking about it, and I said, well, I like old country because it's singer-songwriters. The people who are writing the songs are singing them. And I really appreciate that. And the girl sitting next to me goes, oh, you're not going to find that anymore. And I go, right, it's all mass-produced. It's a songwriter comes in, and they hire musicians.
That was done back in the day as well.
It was, but not as much. I get that. But
okay.
But you had a lot more Willie Nelsons, a lot more Waylon Jennings, a lot more people that were writing songs that were songwriters first, and then they became singer-songwriters. Neil Diamond, for instance, even.
Yes.
But now I feel like it's very rare you'll find a singer-songwriter musician like a King Diamond in metal. It's more like
it's a machine. It's a factory.
It's a machine. It's entertainment. And entertainment is not art.
No.
So it's all become entertainment, less art, where King Diamond is an artist.
I think Ghost is a brand.
Right. That's what people call it now, is a brand. Someone had said that to me online in a satanic altercation I had. And they goes, well, you're true to your brand. And I go, what fucking brand do I have? Explain my brand, since you know about my brand so well. Explain what that brand is. Because it's such a I have a brand. Oh God, brands. A brand
Shane
to me
Bugby's bitchin' blocks. TM.
A brand to me is always like Gloria Vanderbilt had a brand. That was the first person that had a brand in my life that I understood as a person who had a brand. But she was selling jeans.
Right.
I'm not selling fucking jeans. I don't have a brand.
You're not George Foreman.
I'm not selling grills. I'm ready to sell hot sauce. I'm thinking about it.
Devilishly spicy hot shots.
Right. I remember the guy from the Black Panthers, Bobby Seale, started selling barbecue sauce, and people were so up in arms with it.
Why?
Because he's a revolutionary. The whole anti-establishment revolutionaries are now joining the establishment and selling you something and becoming part of the capitalist system.
Oh. So
people were offended by it. And he explained it in a way like, this is cultural. My culture enjoys barbecue sauce, but this is a cultural thing. My mom taught me this recipe. Her grandmother had it. Mm-hmm. So he explained it in a way that was sort of cool. And like people say, he's got to eat, he's got to make money. It's a shame that the guy that started the Black Panthers has to make money. He should just be taken care of.
But he's also sharing a culture. He's sharing, and the same people would argue culture's supposed to be shared, but then they're policing another person and being like, hey man, you sold out, man, about it, when they cannot define his culture. He can.
It is certainly weird. When I made a soda pop, I remember a couple people in the Church of Satan wrote me, you're doing a soda pop for regular people? And they were like, I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? Isn't that cool? It's perverse, isn't it? Like a Satanist selling kids soda? That's crazy, right? Mm-hmm. It's funny. But they were totally offended by it. And I couldn't understand it. I just couldn't understand it because I thought it was sort of weird. It was sort of cool that I was able to do this. Like, I'm getting away with murder here. Like, they're letting me sell soda to the general public. This is crazy. The first soda bottles I sold too in Ely, I got these 40-ounce bottles made, and I signed them. There was like 500 of them, and I signed them all and had my name on them. So there was no doubt that this obscene publisher and Satanist was selling your kids soda.
But it's interesting that the attitude of you're selling that to normal people, that goes along with the whole, conforming with the nonconformists.
There you go.
And I think that that's sort of interesting hypocrisy to feel that way. I see that a lot in satanic Reddit. The subreddit called Satanist often has a lot of people who seem to want a certain uniformity, and I'm sure I'm going to get shit on Reddit now, but that's fine, cash me outside. And there's often a lot of, well, now I have to go with my parents to this normal event. I have to go to this normal thing. What is normal? I think that you're being a true outlier if you are. Why can't you mix with society?
Can I ask this?
Of course.
This is on the Satanist board? What is have to? You have to? You don't have to. There's where I'm offended. I have to go to this event with my parents. Have to. You can't find a way out. Like, I got a disease, Ma. No matter what, like, I sprained my ankle. Like, a child can figure that one out. Like, got a throat. I got a fever. I can't go. There's no have to.
Or just make it work. Like, why are you still 14 and rolling your eyes over this?
But that's the same thing. Make it work. If you don't want to go, don't go. But you don't have to go. And if you feel that much obligation to someone like your parents, and you should go, then you're right. Make it. Just deal with it.
I think there's even on the other side of that now sort of an internet obligation of following certain steps as a new Satanist. You got to show your TST card. You got to show that you bought on Amazon a newer edition of Satanic Bible. You have to show your Baphomet figurine that you bought on wish.com. And then, there's little steps after that you show on the internet. And why do you have to show this on the internet if it's for you? At that point, you're doing it to appease others. It's almost like going to church and making sure everyone sees that you brought punch and cookies to the bake sale.
Yeah, it doesn't serve much purpose to show a baphomet to your other people wearing them. That's for certain.
Even to have a satanic Reddit seems like it has no purpose.
I don't think that's such a bad idea. That's a discussion board. But wearing, you're right, like showing off your Baphomet t-shirt to all the other flock or everyone else wearing it is a weird thing. For me, I always think like, man, and now I'm talking 30 years ago. Now it's becoming where I see a lot of Baphomet shirts everywhere, and it's pretty interesting. But I still think it's like a political statement to wear a Baphomet shirt out into the regular world.
Yes.
It's a brave thing. And so when people have said, the Church of Satan isn't political, I'm like, it doesn't get any more political in a country where it says, in God we trust on our dollar bills, than to wear a Baphomet t-shirt. That's very fucking political. But again, it's wearing it out on the bus that makes it political and satanic, where there's not any other Baphomet shirts on the bus. Sort of like
wearing fringes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I got to wear my fringe. I got to figure that one out. Yeah, you're right. I should just wear you're right. How dare me just want to wear fringe at the coffee shop? I've got to wear it on the bus or I'm just a poser.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and tune into our next episode wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. You can find us at Speak of the Devil Pod on Twitter and contact us at speakofthedevilpod@gmail.com. For Shane's artwork or to support his endeavors, please visit ShaneBugby.com or find him on Twitter at ShaneBugby. I've been Nannerl. Have a good one.
Oh, and ShaneIsTheDevil.com.